Hi and welcome to the Science Fantasy Experience, and as we are marching on through the year, let's take a look back at March 2022 in my world of toys. So it's actually pretty much near the end of April and I'm only just now taking a look back at March. A little bit more delayed than I would have liked. But at the start of the year, I had COVID, which took a while to get over. And then subsequently, pretty much after I got over it, I ended up getting the flu. So making videos, kind of not a priority, kind of just did not have the energy or the time to just be able to, I guess, talk and hopefully come across as passionate when you're ill. It's just not a thing. I'd rather be 100% looking back at toys that I've picked up, even though they are less than some months, especially with March. I only picked up a handful of stuff. In some ways, only kind of 2 things. Second thing, a multiple of characters from one line. And a seriously off the cuff order that came out of kind of nowhere. But before we take a look at what I have picked up, I thought I would show off what I did to a figure that I got back in January and in some ways made it new. What we have here is G.I. Joe Classified Flint, which I picked up in January. I decided to change him up, or down, if you will, by removing his body armour. I wanted to give him much more of the Action Force Weekly UK comic look that I absolutely adore and did as a kid. When I got Flint back in January, I was really pleased with it, for sure. I think it's a great update to the character and the figure, but the body armour was just, it wasn't my thing. I didn't like the slight difference in shade of green and black. It is made out of rubbery plastic, so it kind of just, I didn't like it. I know that might be nitpicking, but I just wanted to change him a little bit, and I could not be happier. I took my time in removing the armour, as I did not want to nick any of the back, so I took an X-Acto knife, slowly cut in different ways to be able to peel it off. I'm pretty sure you can heat up figures and pop the arms off and remove it that way to keep that as an extra bit to add to other figures to customise, but I have no experience of that, and I wasn't about to learn how to do it when I knew I didn't really want to keep the body armour. So yeah, you are looking at my iteration of David R. Fairborn from Action Force. What I also did was grabbed a couple of weapons from the Valorverse Weapons Bravo pack, the gold and brown stocked rifle and pistol. Flint is pretty proficient with rifles. I know his shotgun is the preferred weapon of his, but his secondary is rifles. And looking at panels from old comics and his bio card, I've got pretty close to what I want. In some ways it's beautifully homaged a bit of the comic, a bit of the cartoon, and still using the freshness of G.I. Joe Classified. I really like the Classified line now. It's come on leaps and bounds. And in fact, less is more on certain figures. So many of them are armoured up. It's nice to have one that's perhaps a little bit more stripped back. So yeah, that's kind of what the start of the month was for me, kind of tinkering with an older figure. Although it's not even that old, it's like a couple of months old. But yeah, just to give it that new, fresh feel for me. Well, first pickup of the month. And as I said at the start of the video, totally unexpected. This was in no way planned at all. I was talking to Paul Farrelly from Transformers the Show, and we were talking about Warhammer 40k, and I had mentioned that Joy Toy were doing a range of 1/18th scale action figures based off various factions of Space Marines, and I was just like, I'm really interested in kind of getting some, and he was like, yeah, for sure, I'm going to get some as well. I'd seen Fingers on Plastic's video of the Space Wolves, and I was just like, I'm going to see what else is on there. And whilst perusing the Joy Toy website, I was just like, oh, that looks interesting, mechas. Blown away by what they do. I've got Warhammer kind of represented with McFarlane. I was hooked on mechas, seeing them. So I grabbed, is it even going to fit on camera, this huge behemoth, the Battle for the Stars, Fear 5, Airborne Assault Type. So the box is huge, it's immense, and it is beautifully illustrated. It just oozes 1990s anime and manga to an absolute T, from the colour palette to the sketchy lines, just to all that I remember so fondly of the 1990s. And that's pretty much why I wanted to grab something. I have nothing like this in my collection. I've got robots, I've got Valkyries, but I've not got a very full-on 1990s style mecha. It just has that feel of Patley Bore, a show that I just stumbled across in the mid-90s after watching Ghost in the Shell and Akira, and then taking a trip to the local video shop, Raven Videos, and the whole video shop was well stocked with various anime titles. Fist of the North Star, it had Akira and Ghost in the Shell, Patley Bore, and they were there to be watched. And this just, as I said, it epitomizes the 1990s for me. You get a schematic diagram on either side, front view, side view, and then you get to see on the back just absolutely incredible poses. And it also comes with a 3 3/4 action figure, which you can put inside a cockpit. Why you'd want to hide this 3 3/4 figure, I don't know, but it's cool that it has that option. let's showcase this incredible toy for sure. And here is Fear 5. It's immense. It's huge. It's absolutely massive. It's like 32 centimeters, so like 12.5 inches tall. I've not even got it at full height because I've kind of gone for a bent leg aesthetic. But the amount of detail is sublime. Each one is hand painted, and that the paintwork is intricate. There is dry brushing everywhere, clean lines with paint. There's an overall wash. It beautifully encapsulates the box. I don't know if the toy came first or the artwork came later. I have no knowledge of the kind of the comic book that the inspiration for it. I know that Joy 2 have their own kind of world for this. Battle for the Stars. But I don't care about that. It oozes the 90s. It's got a ton of movable parts. It's bizarrely put together. That's the only way I can talk about it. It's some bits you clip in, other bits you put in through friction, and then other bits are held together by soft goods. So you kind of, even though that feels loose, it's still completely on, but it helps with articulation and movement. It actually still is rigid, but it's got like fluidity to it. I think that's the best analogy. The weapons are just big, chunky, beautifully painted as well. Can be hung, can be held by the hand. Here are some photos of it posed in different ways just to show off the immensity of it and how much fun you can have with it. I cannot not mention the action figure that it comes with, because this is just, it's almost as good as the mech. I had no idea that 3 3/4 figures could get this well articulated or be this visually stunning. Again, hand painted, just little flashes of orange to match the mech. It has a toe tilt. I don't think I've ever seen toe tilts on such a small action figure. Incredibly posable, just as much as the mech. It comes with a separate head with no helmet, which sculpt is just as good. I like the helmeted version though. Holstered tiny gun. Also comes with 3 extra fists, so you can go left-handed, right-handed, clenched fist, Obi-Wan fingers. Fantastic, absolutely incredible. It's been a while since I've had a 3 3/4 figure. I think the last one I got last year, Cobra Commando, from the vintage collection, which they're great, but if this is the evolution of what 3 3/4 can do, not that it would be a rabbit hole, but I might just delve into some 3 3/4. 6 inch, 7 inch mostly dominates the action figures in my collection now, it's just a size that I enjoy the most. But it does harken back to my childhood, you know. There were so many smaller scale action figures that were so great that tug on the heartstrings, and I'd love to perhaps pick up some other figures in that scale. Not necessarily Joy Toy. They do a range of 1/18th, you know, military based sci-fi figures, but there's also Eagle Force, G.I. Joe, the welcome return of O-ring figures. So yeah, cannot not mention this guy. Before we get into the last pickup of the month, I thought I'd take a moment to talk about a reveal, and that would be Super 7's Thundercats Mandora, which I'm super hyped about, but I'm also, I don't even know what the right word, annoyed, disappointed. I think it's unbelievable that they want to charge this much for it all together. So the figure, which looks incredible, and don't get me wrong, I like what Super 7 are doing in terms of their methodology, how they approach figures for their waves. I always have done. They don't do the obvious, oh, we'll just release all the main core characters, you know, that's more a Hasbro thing, or whichever. NECA, in terms of Turtles, you know, they brought out all the main core characters first. But when you're an eclectic collector, I don't desperately need, you know, a Starscream again, or a Wheeljack, or, you know, in some ways, a Lion-O. I want the more interesting characters, or the one episode characters. So to see Mandora getting a release quite early on it's fantastic. But the cycle is 150 quid. The figure's 50, which is the standard price for a Super 7 action figure, which I'm all good with. I'm okay. I think that's a fair price for what you get. You know, it's a 6 or 7 inch sized action figure, always with a ton of accessories, well made, well painted. There has been a few QC issues, that's for sure, but then all toys kind of do. You're going to pay 50 quid. But altogether, £200 for a figure and a space motorcycle, I think it's far too much. I don't know how Super 7 can justify 150 quid for a motorcycle. And that's what makes me aggrieved that they want to charge this. It looks incredible, and I want to get it, but I won't pay that sort of money. Not when you see Joy Toy make a figure of that size, stature, part build, hand painted, and it's £115. You know, that's what I paid for it through Joy Toy. That included shipping. You know, I don't always talk about prices. Sometimes I feel I have to, but yeah. When you see a £115 toy, and then you see a £150 toy, a third of the size, it's hard. In some ways, the Joy Toy mech has set a standard of what to judge toys by. It shouldn't, but in some ways it kind of has for me. 150 quid. But it looks incredible. It's such a good character. She's a force to be reckoned with in that galaxy of Thundercats. But yeah, rant over. Finally, on to my last pickup. So, unbelievably, for some unknown reason, Valaverse Action Forced came back in stock in 2 places. So I jumped on the chance to grab a Condor, a Bone Collector, and a Steel Brigade. I knew straight away after opening the Sarge and the Swarm Trooper that I'd made a huge error. Just a giant mistake in not pre-ordering these. I did that thing of when they were announced, when the pre-orders first went up, oh, I'll just get the ones that I like the look of, which was the Sarge and the Swarm Trooper. A couple of months went by and I whacked on Kerak. It was in my mindset that I'd check them out, and then if I wanted to get more, I'd just order, you know, the other characters. Obviously, they just, as time went by, all the pre-orders got eaten up, and then they were gone. I just didn't think they were ever going to come back in stock again, but there they were. So as soon as I saw that, I jumped on it, as I said. I didn't even do the notify. I thought to not do the notify because there was just so much talk of, yeah, this is all of the wave that we produced. Obviously it was just a late shipment and they were there. So the reason why I didn't pre-order them is because I either didn't like the look of the characters or the face sculpts, but then getting them in hand, I dig Condor's face sculpt, and even if you don't like the face sculpt, you can whack on his night vision goggles and a helmet. But the figures are just incredible. Every figure from this wave has been fantastic. Incredible detail, just the realism and the bios, the colours, you know. Steel Brigade and Condor work so well. I'll come on to Steel Brigade at the end because he's so much more than just an action figure. The revelation though is Bone Collector. I was not interested at all. I just didn't like the look of the character. But as I said, when you get them in hand, they pop. I love the camo. You know, it's not Firefly camo, it's not normal urban camo, it's not jungle camo, it's just that subtle different shade of bits. And then with the body armour, I've switched out the weapons. So that's a weapon from the Bravo weapons pack, the sniper rifle, handgun-ish, and green pistol to match the other colours. He still comes with his silver pistol. I'm not very good when it comes to the names of these actual guns, which are based on real life military weapons. It's something that I plan to do. I'm fully in on this line and all that comes with it, from the character bios, the backstory, the actual real life weapons that they use, from the assault rifles to the handguns. There's just little subtle bits of damage, scarring, the paint, the little wash on the skull. It's incredible. He feels British. I know He's a laird, you know, he's from, I think it's Dorset, you know, just down the road, the next county to me. The posability, just how you can have them in different stances. You can really bend the legs. Standout though is Steel Brigade. What an incredible homage, inspiration from the original 1987 G.I. Joe Steel Brigade, which was, you know, a mail order Hasbro Direct figure that you could get. I didn't know that fact until later on, like when I was just getting back into kind of toy collecting and really looking back at Transformers and G.I. Joe and finding eHobby and the G.I. Joe Collectors Club, and then learning about the mail away for Steel Brigade. They've made this Steel Brigade, just freshened them up a little, but just taken inspiration from the original characters. The colours are slightly different, but it's, when you see this Steel Brigade, you just think, I think of that figure from what I've seen. And they did the same bit like they did in 1987, where you get to create your own dossier, giving them their code name, their real name, you know, what their primary kind of military skill is, their secondary, their background, and what they are. There's a bit to do, a fingerprint. This is what makes toy collecting incredible when it takes it to the next level. I'm kind of hoping there's a PDF of this so I can keep this one pristine and perhaps write my own. That's an army builder. Not that I army build. You could then create as many different ones in your faction as you want, with the weapons pack, a sniper, a heavy artillery, dual wielding pistols. Incredible. Just Valaverse have knocked it out of the park with this wave, and I'm glad I've kind of gotten close to completing it. I'm still not interested in the Riot Trooper or the Urban Trooper. But definitely too basic for me. The Jungle Trooper though, I'm kind of interested in that one. The Urban Trooper feels too similar to Firefly, and the Riot Trooper feels like a Cobra Trooper, which kind of I have. And you get an iron-on patch. Just wonderful little touches. I'm all in on this line. It's the complete opposite of how I collect, but that's exciting as well. You know, I say in most videos that I'm cherry picking from whatever it is: Super 7, Thundercats, NECA Turtles, McFarlane, He-Man, just characters that I like or I never had as a kid, but because this is so new and fresh, I'm probably in for every character that they do. And you got to pre-order. That's the golden rule now for Valaverse. That's how I'm going to approach it. I can't wait for Wave 2A. I don't have to wait. I'm filming this at the end of April. Wave 2 is in the... Wave 2A is in the collection. So obviously you've got to wait for the next monthly look back to see those. But yeah, to come back in stock and to blow me away with how they are. The joy of toy collecting. Toy collecting when you're a little bit ill. Absolutely looking forward to April. God, I've kind of got to do that in the past tense. I am looking forward to April. April has kind of come, and it's a month of pre-orders, but we've also had fan firsts. Fan first Fridays on a Tuesday. We've seen some incredible Transformer reveals, and especially some G.I. Joe reveals. I'm going to say it every monthly video, is that this year is sublime for toys, for toy releases, for toy reveals, and I just cannot wait for this year to continue and for the collection to grow, and now to grow and develop in a different way, because I've been treated to 3 3/4 inch toys that have sparked something inside. Comparing Valaverse to Classified, but doing it in a, I don't want to say, not in a positive or a negative way, just ultimately they're going to get compared because it's a 6-inch military toy, but they're doing it so differently. You've got realism against cartoon comic aesthetic. They sit beautifully well together, but they both do different things. Without spoiling, April, Tiger Force is on its way, and I could not be happier. So I have been Rudy Zissou, and always remember, it's as much about play as it is display. Thanks for watching.